Bulletcast for life. Get up! This is a revolution. This is our time to rise. Look deep within your mind. Look deep into the hate in my eyes. We are the elite, and you are the weak. No matter how hard I fall, I'll get back up on my feet. Red alert, this is gonna hurt. When your face is in the dirt, you'll know your death is what I seek. We are the elite, and you are the weak, and I will always get back up on my feet. Why are they alive?
Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is I, the microphone messiah, Phillip Antoine, joined by Brandon Tanguman, giving you another recap of sports entertainment pro wrestling. Brandon, what's going on?
Nothing much. What's up, everyone? Here, only a couple more weeks till 400.
Right. 3 more weeks. Outside the ring, the PWI 500 came out. Names you would expect to be on there at the very tippity top. Cody Rhodes number 1, Swerve number 2. Brandon, do you have the list?
I do not have the list, but I am quick with it. That's the only thing I can actually do around here that I can't pull it up. But let's see. You got the full PWI list right here. What would you like to know, Phillip?
Top 10.
Let's see. We got Cody, Swerve, Ospreay, Seth, Naito, Damian Priest, MJF, John Moxley, Gunther, and number 10, Mystico.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I mean, different, obviously different top 10 that we've had over recent years. I know, like, obviously Roman, like Seth, even Moxley. I think they always dominated like the top 5 spots for a couple years. But it's nice to see some new faces on there. I just want to shout out some of the homies that made the PWI 500 this year. I'll go from I guess bottom to top. Anton Voorhees at 484, Journey Fatu 412. Alpha Zoe 405, Jay Bougie 378, Vinny Massaro 376, Eddie Thorpe, the former Carl Frederick at 358, Kenny K 347, get the Gator Man Jai Jewel 433, Zilla Fatu 339, Jackson Cartwheel at 327, Lance Anawai 324, Ugwa Champ Jordan Cruz at 248, Titus Alexander at 170, and of course Jacob Fatu, the enforcer of the new bloodline at 94. And the Big Oos will be back in NorCal next week when SmackDown comes to Sacramento at the Golden One Center. I may have to make an appearance.
And I would believe the 2025 PWI, he would be much higher, maybe even possibly top 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll find out when that list comes out. Obviously, the PWI focuses on storylines and championships won and rests mainly in kayfabe. Before we get out of here from the PWI 500, let's hear Marlee's thoughts.
The Pro Wrestling Illustrated 500, PWI 500, was released, and I feel like the top 10 was pretty accurate considering the storylines each respective wrestler was in. Cody Rhodes, of course, he's going to be the number 1 wrestler. Swerve, solid championship run in AEW. Solid feud with Hangman. Ospreay, have my reservations, but can't deny that he deserves to be in the top 10, let alone the top 5. Seth Rollins, I would personally say in the modern era, one of the greatest tweeners. He can do face, he can do heel. Agree with that spot. Naito, also agree. Priest built himself up with the Judgment Day, and even outside of the Judgment Day, he managed to build himself simultaneously with the Judgment Day, so I agree. MJF, love him or hate him, one of the greatest heels in this modern era. Moxley makes sense. Gunther, one of the greatest heels of the modern era, one of the greatest Intercontinental Championship reigns of all time. We argue that. Mystico, don't know too much about him from what I've seen. Solid. But I felt like the top 10 was pretty accurate considering this past year. But I also want to take a moment to shout out some of the West Coast Pro talent that made the PWI 500. Starboy Charlie came in at 173. Our champion Kevin Blackwood came in at 151. Titus Alexander came in at 170. And Jaya Jewel came in at number 343. So shout out to the West Coast. Shout out to West Coast Pro. And shout out to another year of the PWI 500.
All right, thank you, Marlee. Jacqueline, former WWE Women's Champion, Legend Hall of Famer. She has signed a Legends contract with WWE, like we mentioned with Victoria. You know, it comes with Mattel to make figures. You'll probably be DLC in a video game. She's already in the Hall of Fame, so I mean, it's nice to see different acts from the past coming back together with the company.
Yeah, good that they're kind of signing up some of these women of the Attitude Era. I don't know if it's official, but I thought I saw something like Melina sign something as well. But Jacqueline, shout
I
out.
did
I
hear
mean,
about that. Yeah,
those like early days, like it was basically her and Sable were the only two women in the company, and so everyone's gonna talk about Sable, but Jacqueline was right there and kind of trying to hold Sable's hand when it came to the in-ring stuff.
hey, I mean, Jacqueline, great competitor. I mean, cruiserweight champion, I think in both WCW and WWE, which not a lot of people did that. Very, very select few. So congrats to her. We'll see where that goes. Blade, former Braxton Sutter, was the Butcher and the Blade tag team with the Bunny in AEW. He had successful back fusion surgery, so hopefully a speedy recovery and get to see him in the ring soon.
Yeah, I mean, back surgery, no joke. So hopefully everything comes out okay, and hopefully maybe he gets back to the ring sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. All right, Logan Paul versus Kevin Nash. They've been going back and forth, talking trash about each other. Logan Paul claiming he didn't know who Kevin Nash was. I was like, okay. What are your thoughts on this?
It's hard for me to decipher what's real and what's not. I mean, it's mainly from like the Logan Paul standpoint. I think Kevin Nash's criticism of Logan Paul is valid. There is, he's not one of the boys and all that other stuff. But then, like Logan said, he is very talented. Now, I don't think him saying he doesn't know who Kevin Nash is and he's saying he drew more money than Kevin Nash ever did, or whatever his little quip was, like, is not true, which kind of like makes me lean like he actually doesn't know who Kevin Nash is. Because if you know who Kevin Nash is, yes, he might not be like Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold, but he's one of the bigger names in the Attitude Era. So that was not a good look on his part.
Yeah, I mean, it also wasn't a good look when Hogan said he would book Logan Paul as a babyface to save Roman from the bloodline. So yeah, it is what it is. Nikki Bella is filing for divorce. Her husband Artem was arrested under domestic violence charges a few weeks ago. So it looks like the separation is coming.
Yeah, it's probably going to get uglier before it gets better. So T's and P's over there to Nikki and the whole Garcia family. Uh, yeah, just not a good situation at all, especially because they got a kid.
Yeah, that's gonna be very, very stressful, I'm sure. No fan mail this week going to SmackDown. Cody once fought too. The bloodline is out there, Solo demanding an opportunity at the WWE title, and Cody basically says, "No, I want the guy that's I don't want to say really in charge, but that's really a force in this new bloodline, and that being Jacob Fatu." And Jacob steps up for a second, and then Solo barks it down. So next week's or this Friday season premiere of SmackDown back on USA steel cage match, Cody versus Solo for the WWE heavyweight title.
Yeah, I do like the little concept of Fatu as like this unhinged monster, but yet for whatever reason, Solo can still kind of talk him down and get in his ear. So that's a nice little component they have to the bloodline. And Solo and Cody, it's a big match on television. It's kind of like in that weird middle space where it's a big match to put on television, but yeah, if you put that on pay-per-view, it's not a good pay-per-view match. So I think they realize that, and so try to get something out of the first SmackDown on USA is probably a smart move because no one expects Solo to win this match. So put it on a PLE is useless, but put it on a SmackDown can do something. And also, you give the possibility of maybe Roman Reigns comes back.
I mean, stranger things have happened. Roman Reigns comes back. People are saying Rock will come back and cost Cody the title. A lot's going on, man. A lot is happening. It's interesting. We ended we ended SmackDown on Fox, or we began SmackDown on Fox with a black champion. We ended with the black champion and Cody Rhodes. So shout out Kofi and Cody. They bookended in each era, if that makes
Well,
sense.
hopefully Brock Lesnar doesn't come out on Friday and just absolutely
Right.
destroy Cody.
I mean, I was there in LA when he destroyed him. That was something. But yeah, I mean, Jake going up against Cody, I think that would have been something very interesting. I mean, people are clamoring for it, and yeah, it's very interesting. Very very interesting. I mean, how soon do you think Jake will truly hit that main event spot?
Um, I mean, it looks as though maybe Cody Rock is going to be what they're going to do at Mania, and Roman Jacob is possibly like what Roman will do at Mania. So I think,
Yeah, I see that.
once you get to like the Royal Rumble time is when he's going to like really kind of hit that next year, maybe even like Survivor Series if it is going to be the Bloodline War Games match. So we'll definitely see it in the future. But I think like main event probably at like a WrestleMania or something like that.
Yeah. It's still just cool to see him there, man. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him, in the whip and at training, and just to see him in the biggest company in the game, it's still very surreal. The Bloodline wins the 8-man tag. Bloodline defeats the DIY and the Street Profits. Just looking dominant. Fatu cleaning house, and then Solo giving the double spike and picking up the Dubski.
Yeah, put some heat on the Bloodline, get Solo ready for the match next week or this week. So it made sense. Street Profits and DIY are two credible tag teams that you're not like doing anything with right now. So it's not like hurting them tremendously to lose here. And obviously, Bloodline's a little more important than they are. So, yeah, it was fine. I think the finish was never really in doubt. I think it all made sense for the Bloodline to win and to, like I said, put a little bit on Solo since he hasn't really done much in ring wise since SummerSlam.
Yeah. Bailey defeats Tiffany Stratton, the woman's Money in the Bank holder, took an L to the former hugger. What are your teas?
I kind of wonder what their plan is with Tiffany because obviously, she's with Nia and she's not going to cash on it right now. But you got Tiffany losing. I even rang this bell a couple months ago when she was like losing in very quick matches to Naomi, and I think Naomi's even like a little bit lower than Bailey. So I'm not as down on it. But like if this is going to be like a secondary feud of Bailey and Tiffany doing something while Nia and whoever she's facing in the women's division does their thing, like that's fine. I think there should be more non-title women's feuds in WWE, especially like on the SmackDown side, where there's not a lot of stuff going on the women's division on SmackDown.
There isn't. Maybe you can get spiced up. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe once like Bianca and Jade are no longer a team, then we'll start to get other players involved in like the title feud, obviously, and then I mean everybody. I think that they want to see Bianca and Jade go 1-on-1. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see with all of it. Before we get into inside the ring, let's hear what Marley had to say about Friday Night SmackDown, the last one on Fox.
SmackDown, the final SmackDown on Fox. I personally enjoyed the SmackDown era. I feel like this is an era that we will come to appreciate in future years. Had its highs, had its lows, but 5 years, which I thought it was on Fox for longer personally, but to the USA Network we go. But for this past SmackDown, I thought it was also pretty decent. I enjoyed Street Profits and DIY versus the Bloodline, Chelsea Green versus Mia Yim. We got Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa in a steel cage announced for the premiere of SmackDown on USA. Tiffany versus Bailey was good. Vinci versus Apollo Crews was something. Kevin Owens, Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, Triple Threat was solid. And then, yeah, Bloodline versus DIY and Street Profits. I think I enjoyed SmackDown a little bit more than Raw this week, but overall, it was a solid episode. Raw and SmackDown were both solid this week. Now we move on to the next. We move on to Bad Blood.
All right, thank you, Marlee. Inside the Ring, All Out happened. AEW All Out 2 weeks after All In. How did they build it? Yeah, they had a man burn down another man's childhood home. Brandon did his extensive recap of All Out. You can go check that out on our feed. I'll just say it. Daniel Bryan and Jack Perry's decent bit of business. Um, you know, Christian coming out there to cash in his opportunity, but he didn't stop at the Blackpool Combat Club. Kill Switch and Jack Perry, they're both bad guys now, but they have so much history, obviously, with the Jurassic Express. Their little face off is interesting. The suffocation spot, I was like, oh, okay, this is different. All right, well, I guess we're gonna do this. And so that's something that I found intriguing. I kind of liked it. I'm not gonna lie. And then you go into the main event with Hangman and Swerve. And I mean, do you think they topped it? The Texas Death Match?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person because I was there for the first one, so I'm gonna obviously go say their one in LA was better, but I didn't think so. I also, like I said this in the recap, I think like the cage itself kind of limited what they could do because it was more just like a walk-in brawl instead of like an actual kind of like wrestling match with some hardcore elements sprinkled in there. But um, obviously go listen to my full recap. But I thought the first half of the show spectacular. I thought there was a bunch of wrestling up and down the card was really good. And then those last three matches, the Mercedes Sheeta match, not great. Perry Bryan, it was good. I hated the suffocation angle. I think that just goes too far. Not that like I'm scared for safety or anything like that, but just no one thinks you're gonna actually kill the guy or try to kill the guy, so it just kind of takes me out of it. And the crowd showed that with the "This is murder" chant. And then the main event, it is what it is. Not a big fan of unprotected chair shots to the head, no matter how gimmicked you make that chair. So I thought the like those last three matches did take away from the show overall, and it's been a polarizing show. I know there's a lot of people talk about, was it too violent? Is AEW going the wrong direction? Like me personally, I didn't feel like it was too violent, but I can't see how people see that. I have much more of an issue with the bag spot from a psychological standpoint than like a physical standpoint, but um I still thought it was a good show overall. And Pac Osprey, if you haven't, go see that match. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was all right. There are going to be people that listen to this and be like, "What are you talking about, bro? Those are the best angles in the history of the business, bro." Not to do a Russo impersonation, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean the suffocation spot, like I think I like the edginess of it. I'm like, okay, they're trying to do something a little
But
different
no
here.
one actually thinks he's trying to kill him. That's my issue. Is you can do a bloody beatdown angle, that's fine. But I think that's just crossing the line of like, oh my God.
Maybe it was just a warning. Maybe it was just a warning shot. I don't know. But to try to kill him, it was just a warning shot.
I mean, it wasn't like he had it on there for like 5 seconds. He had it on there for like a good 20 seconds at least, maybe in 30.
I mean, it takes longer than that, though. You know what I'm saying?
How would you know?
So, like I said, go check out Brandon's full extensive recap of All Out. Raw's going back to 2 hours. Yeah. And I guess they have that period where Raw is going to be it didn't have a home going into January, going on to Netflix. So I guess this was the compromise. They cut it back to 2 hours. What are your thoughts?
Intriguing. I mean, we still don't know exactly what they're going to do when it goes to Smack or when it goes to Netflix, but yeah, I think this is maybe like USA flexing their muscles a little bit and kind of using that extra hour to possibly showcase some of the new shows coming up in the fall, so they can get some eyeballs on that before they lose Raw. Honestly, like I think this has probably been the best era of 3 hour Raws, just in terms of filling the entire 3 hours of stuff that people care about. Now, I much rather have it be 2 hours overall, but it is funny that they finally kind of got it right and figured out how to fill those 3 hours properly, and then now they're kind of back to two, which I'm fine with. I'm okay with 2 2 hour shows, and when it goes to Netflix, honestly, I'd be fine with it being like a minimum 2 hour show where sometimes it goes two, sometimes it goes 220, 230, 215. There's no real set end cap, which I don't think there has to be one with Netflix. So I think that's probably an intriguing, especially like with those main events where they have that kind of hard cutoff point at the 3 hour mark. So it kind of takes you out of it. Now, if they don't have a hard end time, these main events can happen or end whenever. It kind of gets you more invested in those falls.
What you're telling me is one episode of Raw might be as long as WrestleMania 35.
Maybe.
I love it. Let's do it. Yeah, the first time Raw has been 2 hours since 12 years. So hey, I'm here for it.
It's gonna be intriguing who, gets cut and who, because like what, Pure Fusion Collective, the New Day, like are those angles gonna be there? Is it gonna be 1 week on, 1 week off? That's another kind of thing to see what's going on. Because there are some people on the chopping block that you would expect to not be there every single week, and they're just there for that extra third hour.
Backstage segments. All right, NXT happened. The Bloodline pulled up and beat the tar out of the Street Profits. It looked great. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it looks like that's kind of the feud they're going with in the tag team scene. They're adding a little bit more of the main roster flair as we creep towards the CW premiere, which shouldn't shock you. I mean, that's what they did when they're in the height of TV negotiations to try to pop ratings to get that big CW deal. So I will be shocked if we see a little bit more of that, rest of September into November or October when we get that debut.
Absolutely. Also, Alexander Hammerstone, the former MLW champion, he showed up in NXT. It's crazy. Fatu and Hammerstone were both on NXT. They feuded over the MLW title for a long time. Fatu, obviously the longest reigning MLW champion of all time. Hammerstone, I think, is in second. If 2 years ago, if you had said that, people wouldn't have believed it. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing both those guys at a West Coast show. I don't think they're wrestling each other, but they've definitely been on West Coast shows before. So now they're on NXT.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Wendy Chu will challenge Jordan Grace at Victory Road. I believe that's this Friday for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Do they do it?
No, and this just continues down the road of, NXT getting the Joe Hendrys, the Jordan Graces, the I forget what his exact name is. He has so many. The X Division champion for the Rascals.
Zachary Wentz.
Yeah, and then TNA gets Tatum Paxley and Wendy Chu.
Love Wendy Chu. Great. Fantastic.
She used to be this fun-loving, sleepy character, but now she puts some makeup on, and now she's scary.
She is. She's scary because she hasn't had enough sleep. That's all that really is.
She hasn't had her coffee yet.
Come on now. She hasn't had the pumpkin spice gimmick. Is that in season now?
I believe so. I'm more of a gingerbread latte type of guy.
Okay. WWE is cutting down on live events. TKO president Mark Shapiro states that WWE will be cutting down on live events even more next year and explains taking on less of them marginally profitable events. What we are doing is cutting events at WWE, so we're taking our marginally profitable events, untelevised events that Vince McMahon had put in place to grow the brand, obviously house shows. You're taking the show on the road, and we got to do that every city, and we got to get that to grow the WWE brand. Well, the WWE brand, while we still have to grow it, it's on fire right now, so we don't need to carry these marginally profitable events. So what was 300 live events last year is roughly going to be 250 this year. Then next year, probably close to 200 or even less. Yeah. So house shows are being cut down. They're going like the 90s WCW route.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we've seen like in the past of them just like constantly kind of cutting down house shows. And I mean, even like in the UFC, like they have like the TV contracts, so they kind of cut down on those and they do, God, stupid ass dogs. They cut down and they're doing like the Apex shows. So I mean, this is kind of a theme.
I love a good house show though. Love a good house show.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun for like families and kind of those non-big USA markets. I mean, they'll still do house shows like overseas, but like for those, middle podunk southern, Midwest shows that aren't going to get a Raw or SmackDown and obviously pay-per-views, it does suck for those types of fans who aren't going to get as many opportunities.
You'll see things at house shows that you don't see on TV though. Like in 2010 when Bret Hart came back, I know what we saw on television wasn't great. But apparently at house shows, like he was really like I just saw some footage of it. He was really going, like he was hitting those arm drags, he was hitting those arm ringers, the drop toe holds, the forearm off the second rope. Like he kind of looked like old Bret for a second. I guess he couldn't really do it on TV because there was a lawsuit going on with some company and whatnot. But yeah, you go to a house show, you see some stuff like that. Speaking of Bret Hart, he was back on Monday Night Raw in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Talking about Survivor Series going to Vancouver, War Games, November. And then Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, comes out there and he has a segment with Bret Hart and he lets Bret know his all-time favorite wrestler was Bill Goldberg. What are your thoughts?
I mean, this was another great segment. It was short, it was sweet. Brett has good days and bad days, and seemed like even though it's reports that he was sick, he seems to be having a good day. And he, just kind of showcases what kind of baby face he was, and just kind of, you know, the the confidence and kind of the little smugness that both him and Gunther have. And I thought they kind of worked well together. And it was like just the ultimate troll line from Gunther, because no one believes Gunther's a real favorite is Goldberg. But if you know, you know, and if you don't, it still kind of works a little bit. But I thought it was just an overall great segment.
I
And
believe him.
then Sammy comes out and Gunther, eh, Goldberg utilized the power, try to put some MMA stuff in there. Maybe little old Walter back in Austria was a big fan. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Yeah, Sammy comes out there, they get a little squabble, Gunther leaves. Um, Adam Pearce has made it official. Bad Blood, October 5th, Atlanta, Georgia. Punk McIntyre 3, Hell in a Cell. We kind of knew this was going. We were going to this point, and yeah, I'm excited. Also, WWE selling the CM Punk bracelet.
So it was weird whenever this happened, like Tuesday or something, where it was the original bracelet, and then the girl comes out who made the bracelet, says no one contacted her about it, and they take down the bracelet, but then they replace it from it saying AJ and Larry to just saying CM Punk. So it's been a little mini controversy over there on the Twitter sphere. But the McIntyre stuff, I thought he was good. Typical heel stuff of him just saying like, look, it's you won by tapping corners, even though he did get obliterated at the end of it. And then no CM Punk this week, but we'll get him next week. And I did like Drew's reaction to Hell in a Cell. Like he sold it perfectly. He was smug and arrogant, and then because he knew Punk wasn't there, and then once he realized he's gonna have to face him in a Hell in a Cell match, he completely flipped. And I thought that was great heel work from Drew.
You love it. You love it all. Yeah, this will be. It continues the tradition of Bad Blood hosting Hell in a Cell. First one, obviously, Taker and Shawn Michaels, 1997. Triple H and Kevin Nash, 2003, 2004. The infamous Triple H and Shawn Michaels one. And here we are 20 years later, Punk and McIntyre. So it's going to be something special. All right, moving on from that. The Wyatt Six defeat American Made. What are your teas?
It was a good opening match. Them trying to go head to head with Monday Night Football. And it was physical, hard hitting. The crowd was into it. I thought it was a good time. The finish was a little weird just because Uncle Howdy wasn't a part of the match. Then he just blatantly interferes, which I get it. They're spooky and maybe not Bible thumping baby faces of rules and stuff like that. But maybe we don't have the 4-on-3 or whatever 5-on-4 advantage. But yeah, it was good. Seems like this is the end of the feud. And I do wonder where they go from here, because American Alpha seemed to, or whatever American Made seems to be like their perfect spot on the card of mid card. I wonder if they go too high, it's a little too much. And if they go too low, which I think maybe I tend to go maybe a little lower if they go to the Final Testament type, or even
So here, let me.
even Judgment Day. Like if Judgment Day is done with Rhea and with Priest and they go focus on them, I think that's a good spot too.
Let me ask you this: Should the Creed brothers have gotten the tag titles, and then this could have been like a little feud over the tag titles? So the Creed brothers have beaten Awesome Truth, and then you could have had like Loomis and Gacy as the tag champs, feuding with, or Loomis and Gacy feuding with the Creed brothers over the tag titles.
I just don't know if you want the Wyatts involved in anything remotely important, even if it is like the tag titles, which are kind of the lowest titles they got, at least men's titles on Raw. So, I mean, I don't know. And at this point, they're kind of like all together. They're not segmented thus far, which probably is a good thing, because if you segment them, then you're gonna have to get, Loomis and Rowan in the tag scene, and then maybe Nikki Cross in the women's division, and then whoever Uncle Howdy's going after. So, kind of keeping them to one segment instead of maybe splintering them off. So, I don't know. But if it is a tag team, if it's the tag titles, I'm fine with. Now, if it's the IC title, that's going a little too much. Even if Braun Breaker's not the champion, if it was somebody else.
Yeah, well, speaking of the IC title, Jey Uso, main event, Jey Uso was the number one contender for the Intercontinental title. he's looking to get singles gold. That's always been his goal. Braun Breaker comes out there and stares him down, so that's going to be interesting once we get that. We, I mean, we doing Bad Blood? Is that where we're going with that one?
Possibly. It could be, like a Raw main event or something like that. But I thought the match was good. Jay once again getting that title opportunity. Wonder how many times he gets it and doesn't cash it in if he kind of loses it, because he does have some with the crowd, as much as I kind of see it as like kind of a one note gimmick. But the crowds love moving their arms down, up and down, and saying yeet. But yeah,
One note gimmick. The whole Attitude Era was a one note gimmick.
and
Everybody was one note.
it went just like the Attitude Era. If the top is hot, then everything else trickles down. And
Come on now.
uh,
What if the block is hot?
I forget what I was going to say. Whatever the next line of the song is, but I forgot.
You see. Dirty Dominic Mysterio, with the help of Liv Morgan, defeats Dragon Lee, and yeah,
Yeah, similar to the SmackDown stuff with the Bloodline getting wins, they put more of a focus on the Judgment Day in this one and having them get wins with Dom here, Finn Balor beating down on Rey Mysterio. So kind of getting their heat back a little bit after Priest and Rhea have kind of, gotten the upper hand recently. So at least, in matches wise, get the Judgment Day some wins. So once again, perfectly fine filler stuff for TV to give them some purpose, give them some heat.
absolutely. All right, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, they have a promo segment together. Finn Balor said, "You turned me into a sidekick. Ain't no sidekick." So we're getting Priest and Balor Bad Blood, and this leads to the Terror Twins being beaten down by the Judgment Day, only for Jey Uso to come out and save.
Yeah, interesting that they're going to put this on Bad Blood, which I'm not opposed. But normally when they try to keep it to these 5 match shows, they're normally like title matches and like the one grudge feud, which I guess this is the one grudge feud. I wonder what Cody's going to do, because Cody's kind of embroiled with the bloodline, and maybe they do a tag match. I don't know. But yeah, it's been building for a little bit. I think this
Maybe
should be the culmination, I think.
maybe we get 6 matches. Oh,
But then how are you going to fit all those commercials in 3 hours, Phillip?
you'll find a way. And lastly, from Monday Night Raw, Nettie makes a return in Calgary 6-woman tag, helps Lyra Valkyria and Zelina Vega take on oh my god, what's the name of the team? Deville, Stark, and
Pure Fusion Collective.
yes,
Or the
yes,
stud
yes.
line.
Okay, anyway, before we go into AEW, Marlee, what'd you think of Monday Night Raw?
I thought Raw this week was pretty decent. I personally enjoyed the Fatal 4-Way #1 contendership for the Intercontinental title, the street fight between White Six and American Made, and also Dragon Lee versus Dominic Mysterio. Those were some solid matches, but overall, I thought it was a decent episode of Raw. We're getting some build towards Bad Blood coming up on October 5th. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk and Hell in a Cell was announced. Damian Priest versus Finn Balor in a singles match. Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley in a singles match for the Women's World Championship. And if I can have an early prediction for that, I think that Wyatt Six and American Made are going to have their finale at Bad Blood. But it was nice to see Bret the Hitman Hart make an appearance. Also nice to see the return of Natalia, as we were in, not we, but they were in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And yeah, overall, solid episode of Raw.
All right, thank you, Marlee. AEW, Brandon, tell us about it. Hangman's promo.
Yeah, main event last at All Out was that the Hangman win over Swerve, and they cut up for Renee interviewed him backstage, and he was bug-eyed and talked about Swerve and stuff like that, and he ran into people backstage, blah blah blah, and then Jeff Jarrett steps up to him. So it looks like we're gonna get Jeff Jarrett and Hangman Page as a feud thus far. I mean, big pop for Jeff Jarrett. I mean, I know they were in Kentucky, so that South market is going to be a little more lenient or a little more favorable to Jeff Jarrett. But hey, Double J has been getting some decent pops recently, so I ain't opposed to him in like this little singles feud and having Hangman beat him down.
People still love Double J.
Yeah. To start Dynamite though, they did do a very good video package or promo package on John Moxley. No cite, didn't even really reference what happened at All Out with the suffocation spot, but I thought they started off really good with the John Moxley promo, and he talked about his motivations and kind of hinting at BCC and William Regal and saying that Danielson is a little too goody two shoes. We need to get more edge and things like that. Just kind of briefly summarizing. I thought it was a fantastic John Moxley style promo, and then right after that promo, then we saw Darby Allin make his entrance to the building, so you knew something was going to happen. Eventually, we did get to the Darby Moxley face off, and Darby and Moxley will wrestle at Grand Slam in 2 weeks for Darby's title shot, which originally was at Grand Slam, but Danielson, I don't know. And then fast forward, Nigel McGuinness comes out, and he is going to wrestle Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam. So Darby gets kicked out, and then now
See, this is what I'm talking about. They do some good stuff, and then they do something stupid like this. So Darby had the shot at Grand Slam for the heavyweight title. Bryan Danielson can't make it or whatever, so then he'll face Moxley for the opportunity. All right, cool. Nigel McGuinness comes out there or gets involved. Basically, if Daniel Bryan can wrestle, it's going to be McGuinness versus Bryan. Is this for the championship or not?
it is. And I wonder if this is a gimmick to sell tickets, because I know they're not
Bro,
ticket sales aren't great.
look. What you could have done, you could have just kept it Darby and Danielson. If Daniel Bryan shows up, blah blah blah, he shows up. They have the match. Bryan goes over, etc. Nigel McGuinness gets up from the commentary booth, challenge him, and then whatever the next pay per view is, you could do that match there. You're just doing this, to pop a rating and to trickle on the old Ring of Honor feels and whatnot. Like, just like for what? For what? It's stupid.
Yeah, that it made zero sense, because for the entire time we kind of knew Darby was getting that shot, and then like it once again it made sense that, like, okay, Darby is going to face Moxley at Grand Slam. Danielson's not going to be there. Okay, whatever. We saw a little bit backstage of McGuinness basically insinuate he's going to challenge Bryan, and he does the in-ring promo and confirms that, which, like, okay, if it was like a Wrestle Dream, that would make sense. But then for it to be like the exact same show that Darby was gonna have the title shot and now is giving it up, that is what didn't make sense and kind of like threw me for a loop. And people are
When's
gonna look
Wrestle
past.
Dream?
It's only a couple weeks later. It's in October 12th, so we got 2 weeks
Yeah,
from now,
they could
and then
have.
another 2 weeks. You have that.
Yeah, McGuinness, Danielson, like 8, 9, or 10, whatever match number this would be. Yeah, do it at Wrestle Dream. Mariah May had a match. Tell us about it.
She after the abysmal pre-show segment that happened on All Out between her, Sky Blue, and Queen Almanada, they had a match, and it was it was fine. Just kind of, I forget how long it was, 10, 15-minute match, and Mariah May goes over, and then after the fact, she celebrates and says she's been delaying her championship celebration because she needs Mina Shirakawa. So she called out Mina, and Mina during the Tony Storm thing was like, I don't want to get involved. I don't like this. So maybe we get Mina coming back next week or the week after. I don't know. So that seems to be the next feud or next women's title situation is her and Mina, which I'm perfectly fine with if they have some good matches, which they should.
We shall see. Osprey and Fletcher win the Casino Gauntlet. I caught the tail end of this yesterday.
Yeah, the before the match started,
They do a dog pile spot.
Don Callis, yeah, Don Callis asked Osprey, and Osprey was like, "Yeah, I got a lot on my plate. I don't want to do that." But then he kind of said, "I let you go of the Callis family, so you owe me a favor, and this is the favor I'm asking you." So him and Fletcher go on and have the be in the gauntlet match. We also get to get a little bit more tease of Takeshi and Okada. And in the main event, yeah, Osprey and Fletcher get the win. The
What?
Outrunners, they got a big pop, so maybe they're gonna be something. But
Wait,
yeah,
isn't Takeshita still a heel?
he is still a heel.
So they're doing heel, or somebody turned it.
I mean, Okada is kind of a heel, but every time that coin drops, people pop for him.
Yeah, he's another guy that doesn't feel special anymore. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro.
I mean, he doesn't feel special, but I also wonder, does he want to feel special? Like, is it he is just coasting off his laurels, or is it AEW is putting him in this position, and that's he's perfectly fine with collecting a paycheck and doing this stuff. I wish I could like psychoanalyze him and understand why is he doing this. I think there's still some opportunity later on to get some stuff out because this Okada Takeshita feud, both in a in-ring wise and a political thing, is very interesting. But yeah,
Political, it's an election year. Let's talk about politics. Why is this politically was a great matchup?
just because Takeshi's a DDT guy. Okada is a New Japan guy, but then Takeshita has now been in New Japan and he killed it in the G1, and then Okada has not been in New Japan since then, and just kind of the dynamics of that front.
I see.
Just a match that has never taken place because of political reasons. Now we finally get it in AEW, and now the quote unquote New Japan guy is not with New Japan, and the other non-New Japan guy is now a New Japan guy.
I see. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us here, ladies and gentlemen. Got a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Friday the 13th. West Coast Pro will be at the Foundry in SF. You can go see a lot of your favorites. Oasis Pro will basically be in the building. Melona Mafia member Beatrice Domino will be in attendance, and then Oasis Pro coaches, the Blue Flame, Alpha Zoe, the Odyssey of Death, Journey Fatu, and the New Era Savage, Juicy for Now will all be in action. You don't want to miss that. And of course, To Live and Die in SJ is this Saturday, Narrative Fermentations. I'm on the call. Go check it out. You got Bret the Thread in action, Pacific Rampage consisting of Joey Gonzo and Jaguar Montoya. You got Nick Xander will be in attendance. South Pacific Savages will be defending the tag team championships against UGWA champ Jordan Cruz and the former UGWA champ, the Battle King Dave Dutra. Not only that, you got DJ Fresh defending the Gatekeeper Championship. And Kenny K makes his return. You'll also have Sonico and a lot of other great talent will be in attendance. You don't want to miss it. To Live and Die in SJ this Saturday. Pre-sale 17, 25 at the door. Doors are at 5, bell times at 6. It's the last San Jose show 2024 for the Underground, so you don't want to miss it. Brandon, thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, bye guys, love you.
This is our time to rise. Look deep within your mind. Look deep into the hate in my eyes. We are the elite, and you are the weak. No matter how hard I fall, I'll get back up on my feet. Red alert, this is gonna hurt. When your face is in the dirt, you'll know your death is what I seek. We are the elite, and you are the weak, and I will always.
This has been the Bulletcast. Thank you for listening.